Hello and welcome to Bangers and Trash, where we've come off of watching the best and worst films of 1946, as rated on Letterboxd.com. I feel like, Nathan, Scared to Death is doing its best to prove your theory wrong about this anachronical principle again.
Yeah. The anachronic principle is that good marriages are all good because they hit all the same beats, right? You need to have everything in place for it to be good. But a bad one, who the fuck knows? That could be anywhere. And that's the same with the bad movies.
At the time, your pitch was that these bad movies are bad because it's always nothing happens until the end where some still
Yeah.
boring other thing happens.
Well, that was because I was shocked that they were defeating the principle. Because they were bad for very consistent reasons, which, yes, doesn't align with what your expectation should be. Because they should be bad for bespoke little weird reasons.
Scared to Death is directed by one Christy Caban. So I don't like to go into hyperbole when we talk about the bad movies here, because ultimately they are just movies, and if I sit here call it the worst thing that's ever been made by human history, it's over exaggerating. And when I talk
there are
about
devices
actual bad things,
yeah, people understand hyperbole though.
I think it's good to couch this because I'm about to say something that is will sound like hyperbole, but it isn't.
There's the worst thing that happened in the 40s.
No, not quite that. This film genuinely gave me a headache through watching it. About 20 minutes in, I started to feel a little twinge, and it just got worse and worse and worse as the thing continued, to the point where when it was done, I nearly thought about taking painkillers, which I don't think has happened before with a movie.
Yeah, okay. So I didn't get to the point of physical pain, which I guess props to the director on that one. I was absolutely fucking overwhelmed at the start, right?
Yeah.
I've got a note here. So we're 9 minutes in, and so far we've had marital argument, a morgue scene, psychic corpse, the doctor getting blackmailed by a wizard, a cop hitting on the woman who works in the business, a quote unquote sinister pair of a vaguely European wizard and his again sinister dwarf.
Yep.
Less than 10 minutes.
And it all happens delivered in the same tone, which
Yeah.
is that we are building up to a joke, but the punchline never comes. So it's this just rising sense of anxious dread of you're about to complete something, but you don't. And then every now and then you'll have a little interruption where the film fades out to the psychic corpse who is telling the story, who goes, "That really scared me." And then we fade back into the movie. Nothing has changed.
Okay, you're underselling how jarring those scenes are, because
it's so
literally
jarring.
So the framing device for this movie is that a woman is dead and she is retelling the events that led up to her death, and we're talking led up the last 12 hours of her life, right? That's the movie.
Yeah,
And
I think I feel like this could have taken place over 3 weeks or 24 hours. It's really
I think it actually
badly
takes place over a couple of days, but it doesn't feel that way. But this corpse who is telling you the story, who is not a ghost, she is dead, I think, right? I don't think there's any supernatural shit happening there. So
Yeah.
she is she's the corpse. She's on the little table and she starts retelling what happened. Cut to the movie, and then when there's a scene they don't really know how to bridge the gap on, they use a quick cut back to the corpse, who then just says it was very scary, and then it just slams back into the main narrative.
Genuinely a 3-second cutaway to say one sentence. And the most jarring thing I think sometimes is you will cut away from a room and a set of people, she'll say the thing, you'll cut back to the same room with the same set of people, but some time has passed, some nebulous time has passed.
Yeah.
The one that really got me is when she's arguing with the maid about something, because this is so hard to keep track of. They fade away, they fade back in, and now they're fighting one another, essentially. They're shaking one another. And it's if you wanted these things to happen, surely just film another scene in between it.
Yeah.
Anything to establish that this isn't taking place immediately afterwards, because I don't think it is, but it feels and looks and is structured as though it would be.
So, narratively, I think if I strain really hard to recall the events of this movie, I do think it's supposed to take place over, I would say, at least 2 days. Because you have this magician turn up, who is, like, irrelevant to the greater storyline, as is just literally everyone else in this movie. He moves into the care facility that they're living in. It's not clear what the building really is.
Yeah, it's like a two-story large building. There's a doctor in there, and there is our main character Laura and her husband Ward, who I thought he was going to be a secret vampire because he's doing the accent.
Yeah.
Did you pick up on that? He's got the whole fucking Transylvanian thing going on.
Yeah, well, they all do though, because I think they're supposedly. So the doctor and the magician and the son, not the son-in-law, are not like simpatico as far as their goals go. But the doctor and the son-in-law are the son-in-law being the
Yeah,
husband.
they both want Laura to be killed
Yeah.
because she's not willing to divorce Ward. So he's like, oh, we can just manipulate her death. It's a W. Lee Wilder movie, is what it
Yeah,
feels
yeah,
like.
yeah. So basically, you have like the husband puts his wife in the care facility, and the doctor and the husband work to gaslight her into like dying of fear or something. So that's kind of their overall goal. That is like mostly irrelevant to the events of the like movie or like the climax of the movie, as is everything else that happens. So
This is my question, like, what are the events of the movie, if not that? Because, like, nothing happens, but so much happens. It's just people talking constantly.
I read a little thing about this, and it is like it's pitched as a murder mystery because obviously
Yeah,
when
like
you think of the
whodunit,
framing, right? Yeah, it's a whodunit.
tension comedy, yeah.
Yeah, so you have this idea of like dead body is telling you I died, and then you enter a house and it's a closed environment, right? Like anyone can leave, but no one does. And really, no one knew after the wizard arrives. You are supposed to be trying to work out who killed this woman, and they give every character a reason to have her dead. Right, so like the cop says, like, "Oh, gee whiz, I'd love a murder to happen so I can get my job back."
The cop would like to investigate and find a murder, which is really poor reasoning for, like, oh, he needs to be a suspect. Because that's all he talks about, is
Yeah.
how much he would love to be attached to a murder.
And then Lilibet, or whatever she's called, she's like the housekeeper. She does like all the administrative stuff. She does the post.
The one the cop is harassing.
That's the one the cop is
entire time,
harassing.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she just doesn't like the woman. And then obviously you have the husband who just needs her dead so that he doesn't have to like leave her in his will and stuff. Because I don't know, it can be a nightmare if you hate your wife and you die. And then the doctor who also wants her out of the family. And then the wizard turns up, and the wizard is like sinister, but turns out actually just completely harmless.
He doesn't do anything.
He doesn't
Like, the
do- yeah,
summary
he doesn't do
described
shit.
how the wizard is going to be important to the plot because he comes with this sinister dwarf who isn't very sinister. He's just a little person. He steps on someone's toes. The wizard is the only notable thing about this movie, played by Bela Lugosi, who is famous for doing Dracula and Nosferatu kind of stuff back in the day. His only starring colour film, interestingly enough.
Really?
Uh,
Did he swear him off after this one?
well, no, he died.
Oh.
So
Wait, did he die like straight after this?
pretty soon after, I think. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He had like some drug stuff going on as well, so I'm not sure what exactly killed him.
It's all the
But
Dracula blood. He got staked, probably.
yeah, probably. He still looks like Dracula. Like, the man was born to play Dracula just by his face.
He also just, like, he has the one voice, right? He's got one character voice, and it's Dracula.
I would like to see more films with him because everyone is doing the Dracula in this movie, so I wonder if he was... Did he set the precedent? Did he walk in, do the Transylvanian accent, and everyone else was like, oh, we're in Transylvania?
I would
The
assume
director
that,
should have mentioned that. I guess we'll just
Yeah.
start doing the accent.
I would assume that Bela Lugosi is, like, the template for what Dracula sounds like. Because that's not what Transylvanian people sound like.
Yes, yeah.
Like, when people think of vaguely Eastern European, like, villain accent, it is that, like, I want to suck your blood kind of vibe, right?
I just literally had that in my head.
Yeah. And that's, like, you know, that isn't accurate to Transylvanian vampires, but that's accurate to, like, Screen vampires and, like, Dungeons and Dragons vampires and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you're like voicing for a video game or for like any kind of audiobook or something, and you're pretty amateurish, and someone goes like, "Give me a Dracula," you do a Bela Lugosi.
I mean, even Nosferatu, Rob Eggers' Nosferatu that came out recently, kind of leans into that, where it's a bit more, old world language, and the accent sounds a little more genuine for what it would be. But the Nosferatu character in there still was doing like a pseudo Dracula thing. He's just a lot more nefarious,
Yeah.
unrelated to Scared to Death, but like the movie. The first introduction of Nosferatu in that film is like Nicholas Hoult goes to the castle. He's like, "Oh, Count Olaf, how lovely to see you!" And he's like, "I'm going to fuck your wife." It's so fucking.
It's channeling more Borat than Dracula there, to be honest.
He's got a big Borat mustache.
But yeah, so like, yeah, Lugosi is playing the wizard magician, right? He's not actually a wizard; like he is a stage magician, effectively. And
Does he do any magic in the film?
they ask him to undo some hypnosis, and he's like, it wouldn't help. Like, that's
Yeah.
like his entire like vibe, which is a great get out of jail free card, right? If you say you're really good at magic, and someone says, "Could you dehypnosis this person?" You're like, "Nah,
Oh, it's too powerful.
yeah,
Can't
it
do
wouldn't be worth it." I'm just not feeling it, you know. Like I could, if needs be, I could, but why would I?
But in this situation, it's not what I'm good for. It's not
Yeah,
relevant
yeah.
to
I'm
my
just gonna
experiences.
hover around and eavesdrop. He makes a big point about eavesdropping.
For no reason, though. He doesn't eavesdrop to
No, he's
do
sinister.
anything.
He's sinister. He is like, okay, this movie is really funny because I think, and like legitimately, like kind of social deduction games, so like
Werewolf,
or
Secret
like
Hitler,
Among
yeah,
Us,
yeah.
Secret Hitler, yeah. I think this movie would actually make for a really good like social deduction game, and
Or like give people the vampire card or the
yeah,
wizard
yeah. So it
card,
tells
the
you
little
like
person card.
you have to be sinister, but like you didn't do it. But you have to be sinister, so you have to kind of like, oh, I was just listening into your conversation, and they're like, oh, magician, did you do it? And he's like, no, I'm just a creepy guy.
The question of like, did you do it, leads me to the other question of what is it? The main source of drama is that there is a picture of Laura, I think, as a ballroom dancer dancing with a man with a green mask, and for some reason this creates drama, which is then used to manipulate her death. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, no.
Because
So you're right, right. So the issue
right,
here, and it's a classic like bad whodunit problem. The issue is that the screenwriter director, I don't know if that's the same person in this case. They know at the end she is dead because her ex-husband, who was killed by the Nazis but actually wasn't killed, has been hunting her down, and when he finds her, he's going to like kill her. She sees him, has a panic attack, dies. Right? That's the idea. The director doesn't understand that to make a compelling like mystery, you need to seed the outcome and like present a
yeah,
couple red herrings, but also make it so that when it reveals, you go, "Oh fuck, of course. That makes sense.
yeah,
That's why this was there and that's why that was there."
yeah. No, the closest thing you have to seeding that is occasionally characters will look towards a window and a strange floaty face just appears, and then they will act as if they saw nothing.
Yeah,
And about 10 minutes before the movie ends, they mentions that the main character has an ex-husband who she sold out to the Nazis.
because he was a spy. What they needed to do was establish that fact at the start of the movie.
Or at
Which,
any point
oh
of
yeah,
the
at any
movie.
point in the movie. The issue is that like the killer's motive and like capacity to kill and opportunity to kill are all revealed at the same time. So
And also like method, because he doesn't you don't rely on the idea of I'm going to scare someone to death as your murder weapon. That should be an incidental tragedy that just happens.
no. So watch this, right?
You hit me.
You want to kill someone, right? Let's say hypothetically, you want to kill predators, right? Hypothetically,
Don't make me
and
use the censor fucking things again.
I think that's a really funny beef, though, right? So if you want to kill them, right? So what you do is you've got like access to them every now and then. If you just go like boo, and they don't die, not a crime. It
But
gives
if
you
they
lots
do
of
die,
chances. Yeah, yeah, it gives you like so many opportunities. Because like, no one's gonna arrest you if you turn up with a gun. Yeah, they'll stop you. But if you just go boo every time you see them, you're rolling the dice. You're hoping for a 20, but if you get it, pretty
just
solid.
coincidentally hovering around the corner every time someone happens to be leaving an shaped office.
Yeah,
Boom.
yeah, yeah. And I'm gonna beep
Whoa.
that one too. That'll give the game away. So yeah, you've got that problem, right? It could work as a murder weapon, but yeah, the idea there is
Yeah.
like, you're supposed to think any one of these characters could have done it. I think. I'm assuming. I'm giving them probably a little bit of benefit of the doubt there.
Yeah, there's enough nefariousness and like weaponized incompetence.
The issue is that none of the people who you're introduced to are the ones who did it. You meet the person who did it technically once in the movie because they have been loitering around cross-dressing as an old acquaintance of the Doctor's.
But is that the first time we meet them? Because they pulled them in from the outside, and I looked at them. I was like, I don't recognize this
Yeah,
person
yeah,
at
no.
all.
So we meet this when they're disguised as a woman, right at the start of the film. Right, so they're just before the wizard arrives. The scene prior to that, the Doctor is in a room, and a woman turns up and is like, "I would want to be here," and the Doctor's like, "Who the fuck are you?" And then she goes like, "We have a mutual friend," and then he's like, "Oh, my fucking cousin, the wizard," and then she's gone. And then the wizard turns up next scene, and like you just forget about her. And then right at the end, it turns out mutual acquaintance because he used to work for the wizard, and now
I'm getting a headache
he's
again.
yeah, exactly right. So like you do
20 minutes in,
technically meet.
literally the same amount of time as it took for me watching the film to get a headache is coming back
So
in our recording
yeah,
time.
they do establish that there is an additional character, which is a little bit like Scooby Doo, I guess, is the idea of like, oh, the killer is the one that we did see briefly and then never saw again. Like, I could see an argument there to say, like, oh, you forgot about this character, didn't you? And obviously,
But
you would have, because why would you have not forgotten about them? They just
exactly,
vanish from
like
the film.
it's a non-character who doesn't have any purpose in driving the plot forward at the start of the film, and there is no seeding throughout any point in the rest of the film that not only are they nefarious, but that there is any other nefarious aspect to this. It's and also the seeding of the plot and the structure and the characters that are in the film is so jumbled, garbled nonsense that is really hard to even try to pay attention. It's
Yeah.
it's just const. The biggest thing I got from this as a takeaway
Mm-hmm.
is that the policeman is very clearly supposed to be incompetent. It's like a Three Stooges.
Oh,
That's what
yeah,
I'm thinking
yeah.
of. He's like a Three Stooges
He's
type
curly.
character who he's curly, yeah. And the one thing that they try and do with his jokes is that he says words wrong occasionally.
No, he says the word right, and then he goes, "Gee whiz, I wish I knew what that meant."
Well, he also says like I'm going to rehabilitate myself.
Oh man, and I think he does say it because at one point he says,
No.
"Lilibet's messing with my metabolism," and he goes, "Oh, metabolism. That's a good word. Wish I knew what it meant."
So there are two jokes. One is that he says big words that he doesn't know the meaning of, and
This
one that he
film's
says
got
words
more than
wrong.
one joke. Crazy.
Well, it's got a third joke where the reporter who comes in, there's a reporter who just appears,
Yeah.
calls the cop Bull and then Bill because his name is one or the other, and the reporter either is getting it wrong the first time or correcting himself to then get it wrong.
I think Bull was his nickname because he calls him
Right.
Bull, and he just like, "Oh, just call me Bill." And I think they're not friends anymore.
Feels like a movie desperate to fill as many seconds as it can to get to a feature-length running time.
Yeah.
And that's why these things exist.
I think,
They're not
like-
funny jokes, they're just taking slightly more time to deliver.
Like, genuinely, I think the whole point of this movie is like you have in the screenwriting the idea of let's do a murder mystery. Okay, what do we need? And they look around the room, and their eyes all fall on the board game Clue. And they go, cast of characters. That's it. All we need is a cast of characters. So they just make a bunch of characters. And they're like, oh, fuck, we gotta do a plot. Like, and then, like, that's...
I gotta write jokes For my comedy?
Yeah, like
You
I
never told me I had to
really
write jokes.
because like okay, genuinely, this movie. You do this with like an ensemble cast as like a remake with a bit more competence behind it. I think it could be fucking funny, right? Like it could
You
be
know the
really good.
weirdest thing about saying that?
Uh huh.
There's like 3 other films made after this, also called Scared to Death. None of them are remakes. None of them
Yeah.
are reimaginings. They are all entirely unique, different films. And it's really fucking annoying to Google Scared to Death and have to like add in 1946, although it might actually be 1947.
Yeah, I
Letterboxd is
saw
the
that.
only source that says 1946.
To get to the trivia, like, why was it 1947 or why was it 1946?
No idea. I tried looking up some things about it. I could not find anything. I thought initially that it was a colorized re-release because I saw someone on Letterboxd mention that the colorized version looks nice. They were
Hmm.
just wrong. This was filmed in color, so
Oh,
I don't know
okay.
what version they saw initially.
Apparently, it was based on a real murder.
Was she actually scared to death, or is that a poor understanding of the means of killing somebody?
I think it might be completely unrelated to the murder it was quote unquote based on.
Nice, awesome, love that, great.
Okay, no. Sorry, it was based on a play, which that was based on the murder case.
I did see, yes, this was based on a play, which does make sense with the format of the house
Yeah,
and the
very,
short time
very
span.
theatre.
I guess actually, like, the real indictment of this movie is, like you said last week, you love a movie set in one place with a small cast of characters where no one can leave. We've got that here. I hated it. I wanted to die.
I think there is a world in which this is like one of my favourite movies. If they had actually like pulled it off. Because the tone's all over the shop as well. Like I think
Yeah,
the cop is goofy and no one else is goofy. And if everyone was a little goofy and it was very like high camp, I think it could have been fun. Obviously, the wizard is almost the epitome of like high camp, but in a good way would be better. But or if it was like a very serious tone throughout the whole thing. But you need to more competently establish the murder.
well, you need to more competently establish anything because, like you said, it's so wacky everywhere all the time. You can't ever settle into a groove of, oh, this is what the movie is. I understand what I'm watching and I can really start to appreciate what it's going for because you'll have goofy, 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 boring, 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 moment of sinister, something's going on, goofy, goofy, boring, but sinister. It's like, fuck me, man, I can't even focus on this. And then the constant flashback, here's the corpse. She thought that was weird. Okay, yeah, obviously. It's a weird fucking thing that happened. No, no shit. She thought it was weird. like,
It's also so I was thinking about the corpse thing, right? So they don't tell you how she died, which legitimately I think for a whodunit, starting with the corpse and starting with the coroner being like, "How did she die?"
they do, yeah. They say there's no visible sign of what would have killed her, which
Yeah,
is an interesting setup.
a movie that more competently shot back to the autopsy and had you almost frame each scene by like injuries and things on the corpse, where you're trying to find out which one actually killed her.
Mm.
That could have been cool, right? And you have all this, but again, like it's at that point, it's just a different movie. Like this movie is like holistically terrible. Like it
Yeah,
does
yeah,
everything wrong.
yeah. I'm trying to think of like anything that it does that is even like it is competently framed in that the characters are usually on the screen when they need to be. The
Yeah.
sound is audible. That's about the best
Sound
I can
level
find.
solid. I can usually see what's going on, except for that one bit outside of the window. Um,
What was
they,
that one shot where I think was it the cop looks out the window, sees the wizard just pointing up, and then later on is like, "I saw you skulking outside the window there, wizard." That
yeah.
was pretty funny, I guess.
I will say, and I didn't really laugh at any of them, but I do think the cop could had some like decent lines. I think of all the actors, he was the only one who was willing to be funny.
He was the only one looking for a tone and like roughly found it, but comedy relies on either having straight men who play it so straight that the contrast is funny or going like fully madcap in this kind of scenario.
Yeah.
Instead, you have someone who's saying not funny jokes, reacting to people who are unengaged with the thing that they are filming. It's just a miserable fucking watch.
Every one of his lines is like no sold by the rest of the cast. Like, there's a
Yeah, yeah.
point where they bring Lilibet back out of hypnosis, and she gets up, and the cop says something, and she slaps the cop, and he goes like, "Oh, Professor, put her back to sleep. It was better that way." And no one in the room like reacts to the line. And I'm like, if these orders had been reversed, and she said something, and then he said that, then she slapped him, pretty funny.
Yeah.
But because like no one ever reacts to a funny line, they just feel like they're like non-canon, like they didn't happen. Like this movie plays
Yeah,
out in the
yeah,
cop's head.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Like this movie is actually framed by like the cop in the shower later on, thinking like, "Oh, if I'd said this,
That's a
that would."
great way to recontextualize it. Where just some dude thinking back on what would have been really funny to say.
But like that's how his lines come off, right? Because nobody ever like seems to acknowledge them.
Yeah, no, exactly, exactly.
There's a point where he says like, "Oh, all I got to do is find myself just a slightly murdered body," and like again, that's like that could be really funny, but just no one else gives a shit.
Like a huge issue there, I think, is again, you need the reaction, but to get a funny reaction out of those lines, you need some amount of comedic chops to find what is there and extract
Yeah,
it. But whoever wrote this was just putting things on the page. There's no chops of anything.
legitimately good line, really funny because I'm just looking for anything to say is good about this movie. It's the reporter and the cop are in the room, and this is just after Lilibeth has like fake died. Like everyone thinks she's dead because she was hypnotized, and they're both like mulling over what's happened. And the cop goes like, "Oh, I told her I just need a murder. I didn't think she'd take it personally." Then he sits down,
Yeah, yeah.
and I'm like, someone else interact with the guy because like I think he's the only guy telling it.
Do you think it was improv? Do you think maybe
Well, maybe
he's just
he's actually
riffing?
the only funny guy in
Yeah,
the.
yeah. Because he does look a bit like Norm Macdonald, so I'm wondering if he's just trying to attach
Nobody else knew it was a
spiritually, you know?
comedy. He was just like, you know
Yeah,
what, fuck
yeah.
it, this movie's gonna be shit. I'm gonna throw some jokes. It may
It
be.
does. It feels like nobody else knows it's like the comedy aspect. It feels like it's the cop tries to do jokes, and look at that guy. He's so small, and like that's the joke. The constant cuts of just people talking, building to some kind of tension. Cut to little person who scampers off like some kind of fucking gremlin that has just crawled out of a closet somewhere. It's just
Not a lot of dignity for the little guy.
no. I mean, it's the 40s, right? No dignity for anyone.
In the scene where he's introduced, the guy does say he's got a short temper, and
Yeah,
they linger
yeah.
on that, and I was just like, come on,
Heard
man.
that.
Like, like, dude, can we?
But also calls him like deaf and dumb. So him, well, they do say he can read
Yeah,
lips,
he can
can't
read
don't they?
lips. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Sinister.
but if he's deaf and dumb, as in like actually stupid,
Oh no, dumb means mute in that sense.
I know dumb means mute, but it feels like the implication is also like he's lacking intelligence because that's the way they treat him, and that's the way he acts like a fucking goblin. He acts like a 8 intelligence score creature who you just like rip his head off. It's a level 1 combat, you know?
Yeah, I don't really know why he was there, to be honest, other than to sell the idea that the magician is even more like exotic and sinister.
I think that was it. I think Christy Caban had a thing against little people and thought it would be
Yeah,
funny, or it's the same way in the Nazi propaganda or Sex Madness, where it assumes you are revolted, disgusted,
yeah, like
scared.
you should be freaked out by this guy. And in my head, I was just
Exactly.
thinking if this was 20 years later, he'd be played by a capuchin. Like it has that
Yeah.
same like vibe. Like it's just like a they're really not treating the guy like a person, which I guess they weren't. Just
No, I mean,
strange.
what do you think the first movie to treat a little person like a person was? Because it definitely wasn't Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
No, definitely not. I don't know. I mean, we might come across it. I feel like anything
I
in the 50s
maybe.
to like really like their character is quote unquote dwarf, right? They're never like put
Yeah.
in the movie as a person. I don't think that changed like for a long time either. I don't like because even when we
I'm
were
thinking like
kids,
pre Game of Thrones Peter Dinklage roles, but I can only really think of Elf.
like I think there's like probably like one or two here and there, but I reckon it was probably like pretty landmark. Like
Yeah.
you know, to be fair though, I still think audiences today, if you just like had someone in a role and they just saw them and they went like, I think like a lot of people would still dwell on the fact like that they're shot,
Oh yeah,
right? Like they
yeah.
wouldn't. It's still probably not a great time to be like trying to cast a serious role.
Difficult is
Yeah,
the experience that I've heard from the community in general.
one
But hey,
hopes it's better,
I
but
think this portrayal of the little person is at least better than Tiptoes, the Gary Oldman film where he just gets on his knees to play a little
I
person.
was not aware that that happened.
It is horrifically embarrassing. I
Yeah.
haven't seen the full film, but the scenes of Gary Oldman just swaying his upper body as he goes on his knees to like walk across an apartment is. You're a good actor, Gary. Man,
Yeah,
you've
maybe
made some
tone the role down.
decisive choices.
You get into the casting and they're like, "How would you look if you were 3'5"?"
Yeah.
And you're like, not like probably not the same. I don't think it'd be as good. Well, we're gonna give it a shot. Like, we're gonna do like force perspective, hit it with like a bit of Lord of the Rings magic. Like, no, you get on your knees. All right, now Pingu over
Look,
here. You could.
you had the upper body image of Gary Oldman as your character, and you can't commit to anything else. He's already signed on for the role.
Did was his like size relevant to the plot?
Yeah.
Okay,
He's the
good.
main
Yeah, it wasn't like
character.
they were
Like,
just like,
yeah.
ah, fuck it, you can be a small guy.
No, just out of no context.
Yeah, like it's completely irrelevant. They just thought it'd be funny.
That would be that would be such a bold, creative choice. The most awful thing you could possibly do. But
It would be the worst like actor to cast in that, like The Rock.
I think Jack Black would be worse, if
Yeah,
only because he brings the idea that everything he does is farcical. You know.
yeah, Jack Black, not a guy I can imagine in a serious role.
He's in King Kong. He's good in King Kong. He's in a few others of those
Yeah,
mid 2000s.
King Kong's like, I feel like his role is like serious, but it's very like not serious at the same time. Like the character works for Jack
Comedy
Black.
relief. Yeah.
Yeah, but I couldn't see him pulling like a Sandler style shift, right?
He could definitely play the cop in Scared to Death.
You know, like okay, the cop here. Has he been in anything else? I feel like I've seen him before. So he was Nat Pendleton, I believe.
Name does not ring a bell, but
No, so he was actually a wrestler.
that tracks. Yeah, he's been in a lot of things actually. Yeah,
Yeah.
The Thin Man, Babyface, The Great Ziegfeld, Marx Brothers. Hey, there you go.
Yeah. He
Another
worked
Thin Man
alongside
as the same character.
Abbott and Costello at one point. As a wrestler, he probably knows the game a little bit more than the amateur actors for like selling the camp
Yeah.
and being a bit funny. Because like to be a good wrestler, very difficult, right? Very performative. You're having to like sell a character and also be like huge a lot of the time. So like I would imagine he was a little bit more prepped for the role than the rest of them.
Yeah, and like you can kind of see, I imagine in Bela Lugosi's dramatic roles, he would be the best actor. But in this ensemble, Nat Pendleton is the best part of it. It's just also not very good, and I hate it.
Yeah, yeah, no, that I think that's accurate, right? But I think it's just because it's all over the shop. It doesn't know what it's trying to be.
Yeah.
Also, apparently, Bela Lugosi is Hungarian American, so maybe the accent is more like legit.
I feel like back then, if you came to a casting agent with a slight accent, they would tell you to play it up.
Yeah, I think so.
You know?
Especially for that, like the exoticism of Dracula, right? Like they're trying to push this
Yeah.
idea that he's like a foreign threat.
In the way that 80s and 90s Asian actors got told to do the Asian voice.
Yeah,
with
like,
no
really
real
play it up.
specification. Actually, when you say the foreign threat, what is it? There's a line. I wrote it down because it made me laugh, but I can't remember the context at all. When I think the doctor says to Bela Lugosi, "You with your foreign background."
Yeah. Like, I stayed here and you were foreign. It's like, what, dude? Like you're cousins. like what do you mean? You have the same grandparents. Like, what's the crack here? Like, really not worth watching, I would say. Like, you're
Absolutely
not
not.
missing out.
Not even for like the it's so bad it's good adjacent
Yeah.
aspect. There is like nothing to be found here.
It's a murder mystery with no real murder, and the mystery is unsolvable until the last 30 seconds of the film.
And it's a comedy with no jokes.
Yeah, there is one vaguely funny character, and everyone else lacks any amount of charisma or like screenplay chops, except Bela Lugosi, who only hovers menacingly in the background of some scenes.
Yeah, and also no interesting like making of trivia. Just an absolute staticky blob of
It
a
just
film that
it's a
kind of hovers
movie
into existence and then fades as quickly as it appeared.
not very good. Just kind of happened. Last no lasting legacy. Like irredeemable? Maybe not. Worth your time? Definitely not.
Doesn't murder any animals for the filming
Yeah,
of,
we
so
think.
that's really nice.
Yeah.
Imagine
Someone just shot a dog off stage. Like just happened, you know.
trivia. Christy Caban loves kicking goats in the head.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Like turns out he's
that's
just an animal
interesting.
murderer. Yeah. Apparently, according to Christy Caban's Wikipedia page, he did have a reputation for efficiency.
That is a way
He,
to
he could
describe it.
crank one
Yeah.
out real quick, dude. Like that
Well,
was.
the opening, the first 30 seconds, both actors in the morgue are stumbling over their lines and they did not get a second take. So efficiency, I think, is a way to describe it.
Yeah, just keep it going, keep it going. It's fine. They've already stopped paying attention. He does look like a stage magician, though. Christy Cabana. He's got the mustache.
I think anyone pre 1950s with a mustache that isn't the big offender is going to look like a stage magician.
You gotta have a wide mustache.
Yes, yeah, you cannot be doing the thin mustache
Yeah.
in pre 1950s.
Although Chaplin, I reckon Chaplin has like a stage magician look about him. Buster Keaton has a stage magician's like apprentice look about him. Like I could see him bringing the hat out.
Kind of, yeah, quaint boyishness to him.
Yeah, yeah. And then he like backflips 50 times off stage and
Yeah,
appears out of the hat.
crumples himself on the
Yeah,
floor.
gets shot with like 5 guns and just walks it off. There's no magic here, just Buster Keaton is an immortal.
Scared to
Alright.
death.
Scared to death, not worth it.
Sick of talking about this movie already. Here we are. Let's talk about It's a Wonderful Life, directed by Frank Capra. I found a review here, a contemporary review that I want to read
yeah?
because it's not as nice as my opinion on the movie, but it's pretty like it's hovering, right? It's adjacent to how I feel about it.
Yeah, yeah.
James Agee in The Nation wrote in 1946. It is one of the most efficient, sentimental pieces since A Christmas Carol. Often in its pile-driving emotional exuberance, it outrages, insults, or at least accosts without introduction the cooler and more responsible parts of the mind. It is nevertheless recommended. Which feels pretty close to how I feel about
It's
this
very
movie.
strangely framed, right? Because it's like positive, 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 but still recommend it.
Well, I think like pile-driving emotional exuberance, outrages, insults, accosts, all feels pretty negative.
I suppose to me, if you tell me this movie will insult you and pile drive you emotionally, I read that as like, oh hell yeah.
1940s, right? They've got a different standard for.
Yeah.
But yeah, you were pretty anxious about this one last time, right? You
Yeah, I didn't think I'd
actively
like it.
said, "Oh no." How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I liked it. Shockingly, I went in thinking it was going to be like just like a really kitschy kind of lame, happy time Christmas movie. So like, okay, I'm not like a cynic, really. I'm not very pessimistic. I'm pretty optimistic. I'm very like I like nice things. I like happy stuff as much as like I like like dark fantasy and things. I don't really like dislike the more happy time. Like I like Christmas, so I still thought this movie was going to be pretty saccharine. Turns out, nah, pretty solid movie.
I think it gets saccharine, but it has spent 2 hours justifying its use
Yeah,
of
well,
being
okay.
saccharine.
I think this is my thing, right? The ending. I think the ending is like really like soppy, but I really liked it for that because I feel like it
Like-
did actually earn it.
Yes, it spends so long in the wonderful life because that phrase, I feel like people always look back at the ending segment, the most famous part of the movie, when he's looking back at what if he didn't exist. But It's a Wonderful Life does cover all of James Stewart's character's life.
Yeah.
Like, it is
So
in depth.
I was under the impression the majority of this movie was the ending of this movie. Like I thought,
I think most people are under that impression, yes.
Yeah, like to me, I thought this is a movie about a guy's going to kill himself, and then an angel goes like, "Nah, dude, you were really cool," and then they show him why he was really cool. But no, this is a movie about a guy who's really cool, who then at the very end is like put in a horrible situation, and then is saved by the fact that he's actually like the coolest guy in the town, and everyone loves him. and like rightfully so.
I was thinking about how to like phrase it when I was watching it. It feels so optimistic about the idealized American dream. The
Yeah,
idea of America as a concept when you remove any of the cynicism and like the actual atrocities of its origin in terms of like the Native Americans got killed and stuff. When you just look at the idea of building a community, working together, finding purpose, and establishing a life, it is
yeah.
one of the most optimistic perspectives of that.
It's very for the time it came out. I'm shocked that it wasn't, or maybe it probably was actually like quite transgressive, right? Because it does show the industrialist, the capitalist, the money guy as the absolute villain.
Overwhelmingly evil.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like the only thing that is like money is evil, capitalism is evil. Like it's a very it's a like hyper socialist movie, right? Like
Yeah.
massively so. Like even telling you like it's better to get people in houses than it is to like have them be paying rent.
Yeah.
And if they can't pay their bill, fuck it. They need a house. Just like get it next time. There's a point I was absolutely shocked by, which is crazy because it's like a very salient point to modern like economic policy and stuff. And
Mm.
again, I hate every politician. But like this is just after the main character's dad has died, and they're in the boardroom, and you have Mr. Potter, the evil like industrialist who owns everything, saying all this shit about how his dad wasn't a very good businessman, but he did have high ideals, so it were, like mocking him for this. And then they're talking about how like they're not getting rent from everyone and like they're not getting mortgages paid. And at one point, our main character George goes,
George Bailey. Yeah.
George Bailey is basically says to them like, "Well, isn't it better economically if we get them out of the slums and into houses because then they've got money and they can go to shops and things?" Okay, the fact that we knew that shit in the 40s, I'm like, I am like, I want to go say boo to the president. Like, you know, it's like,
Yeah.
like, like, yes, it is better if the poorest people in the economy have enough money to spend it to keep the economy. And it's like, he's fucking saying that in the fucking 40s. Like, we know it's
So
true.
we can pull this back even further because this is based on a short story called The Greatest Gift, which was
Yeah?
by Philip Van Doren Stern, who loosely based his short story on Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens.
Yeah, I can see the
So you
connection.
can pull it back to like the 1860s, right? It is pretty sharp with its social critique and its like observation of economic reality in terms of you put people in slums, they're just gonna stay in slums, and like shit's just gonna get worse. Like if the people with money and power and economic stability provide for their community, then something may come of it.
It's one of those ones that really pisses me off, right? Watching a lot of these better old movies, and every one of them saying that, like, being a callous and, like, detached person from your community and also capitalism is evil. And I'm just like, dude, we have never fucking learned. Like, why is it gone from the zeitgeist kind of vibe? Like,
It does recontextualize when people say, "Oh, that's just how it was back then." It's like, no, it wasn't, dude.
yeah,
Like we have large voice, like Frank Capra, as we said when we watched it happen one night, won the Grand Slam Oscars. You know, like he got every award in that show. This guy was a known factor. He had like some amount of like some kind of social prestige. He had a place in society. He was not an underground pinko communist hiding in the alleys and saying, "Hey, do you want to read this manifesto?" He was like
he,
very
he was
present
making
in
like what
American
was
mainstream media.
yeah, like it's absurd to me because I mean, like you said, right? People are thinking it's like that. It's just no, like we've always known as a society, like broadly, that it's wrong. It's just that the people who have the power to change it are like, I kind of love sitting on my big throne of gold. Like it's absurd to
Real
me. Like
dragon shit. Real
yeah,
just like Smaug is over there.
like
You're like,
every good
Smaug,
movie
please.
is just like capitalism is evil. And you're like, yeah, dude, it's fucking us up. It is absolutely horrific. Like, look what it's doing to everyone. And
I
then,
don't think
yeah,
this quite says capitalism is evil, but what it says is that there is a version of capitalism which is less evil,
yeah,
which is like actually good. And, that can be debated on its own terms, but it presents this idea pretty fucking strictly and with like a great amount of confidence.
I mean, yeah, I mean, like the primary antagonist is just a landlord, and he's evil,
Yeah.
but in part through his landlording, and his landlording is shown to be evil, right? Like it's crazy that they managed to like pull that then, because you think like a lot of the higher up people like they want to be Potter. This movie is very much rubbing your nose in the fact that like Potter is the villain. He is truly like reprehensibly evil.
There's the one part where, like, Potter's obviously been a nefarious guy the entire movie, and a lot of it is through this, like, justification of American capitalism brought to its furthest extreme. And there's a part where there's a chance for redemption, a chance for humanity when, um, was it the Billy Bailey, the uncle,
Yep.
has to go to a bank to pay off some debts to keep George's company running. He goes to like chat and make fun of Mr. Potter, accidentally hands him the envelope of money that he needs to give to the bank. Potter realizes, sees Billy Bailey like running around the bank panicking, and just tells the guy in his wheelchair, like, "Now wheel me back in. We are not giving this guy back his money." Where
Yeah.
like you remove the landlord aspect and the like I don't know, industrial evil, and you give a chance for human empathy and just kindness to your fellow man. He's like, nah, fuck it,
Yeah, I
let
mean
him
they present
suffer.
him as a goblin. Like he's just like let this guy get fucked. Like it's wild, right? Because that part of the movie like stressed me out. Like I was
Oh yeah, yeah,
very invested, and like yeah, that was like I was on the edge of my seat. I was like really uncomfortable for those scenes because it's. I mean, like I come from like a very like working class, no money kind of background, so like I'm aware of money stress, like very directly. So seeing like that kind of like financial terror in a film, I was like, Jesus Christ, that like hits like real close. Like I know that feeling of like not having the money that you need to have, and it like really stressed me out. So well done, very well presented, very realistically presented. In a way, again, the
yeah.
movie isn't just kind of like phoning in. Like I feel like it's earning a lot of its like shots like that.
And I think Jimmy Stewart is a huge factor in that. It's similar with Tom Hanks, where you see him and you're like, wow, that's a movie star. And I think Jimmy Stewart is I don't know, he's been dead for however long, so maybe it's silly to say he's underrated in modern culture. But man, he's a fucking. He's very weird because the start of the movie is him playing young George, and it's kind of shonky. And there's a lot of times where he's being very heavy on the 40s-isms and the 50s-isms in terms of how he talks, how he presents himself. But then you get these moments where the emotions are really high, and he's fucking excellent, dude.
Oh yeah.
Like, you can so clearly tell why this guy was a huge movie star. Um, I think his performance in Vertigo is a little better than this, but for an initial Jimmy Stewart impression, man, what a guy.
Well, like the scene where he's like back right after his wish is like removed and he's back in the world. It's so like believable for a guy who is, well, not just believable, like well played, right? Because there's parts of it that are kind of like played up in a very theatrical way that works. But like his sudden like relief and like just the like overwhelming like joy of being
Yeah.
back and he exists and he's good. And I feel like there are so many ways for that scene to have been just like overwrought and a bit silly, and he doesn't feel it. Like it just carries through.
It's weird. His performance is essentially the internet lingo of going like Yahoo, Whippy,
Yeah,
Yippee,
yeah.
but brought out to this 40-year-old man doing it, and yet it feels authentic, which
Yeah.
is shocking considering how goofy it is.
I mean, he carries the movie by being the main character you're following constantly. But like, you need an actor of that quality for a movie like this because it is just following one guy's life, right? I mean, like
Yeah,
it's a happier There Will Be Blood in a way. You're following
yeah, yeah.
framed very similarly, right? Like his life
What if
culminates.
Daniel
In,
Plainview loved his kids
what if
instead
Daniel
of
Plainview
fucking hating
was
them?
yeah, like a good guy, like a really good guy all the time, and every time there was potential adversity, he took the like the good guy route.
It's actually a funny way of looking at it, yeah.
Well, I mean, it's because the opposite movie, right? Like, I feel like they are actually just like true opposites of each other as far as movies go.
Well, you look at the view of capitalism as it has evolved in the 60 years between them being made. No wonder There Will Be Blood exists,
Yeah,
right? The 40s, there was still some space to say, like, oh, maybe this can, maybe if the people with money help their community, if they're really, ambassadors for community spirit and like social housing and just like the enterprise of the American dream, we can really be a community. And 60 years on is like, money fucking ruins you. It's awful. Don't make any money.
like There Will Be Blood exists because A Wonderful Life didn't work.
Yeah,
Like it's
which is
you should have
it's
taken
so
the
sad to
message.
say. It's so sad to say because the ending of this movie, it's magical, dude.
Oh yeah,
Like I think most of the movie is good to leaning on great, but that ending is so perfect. It's like fuck me, man. How are you making this stuff in 1946?
it might be, and I know like it gets played a lot, but I think it might be like the perfect Christmas movie for the message and everything, and like just the vibe it ends on. Like that's a movie you want to like sit down on Christmas. You watch this with like friends or family, and then you just like, dude, being alive is fucking like it fucking rocks, dude. It's great.
Yeah.
Like it's like it's such a nice way to end a movie.
Like the ending, to put it briefly, is you have the financial crisis. George Bailey goes through his spiritual awakening, where the angel, who we'll get to, shows him what his life would be like if he didn't exist. He's like, "Hey, I'm not going to kill myself. Oh, my wife and my uncle have asked the community for help, and because I'm a good person, they have all banded together and helping me way beyond what we need." I think there's a lot of like easy criticism in saying that like this is unrealistic, people aren't that generous, this wouldn't be a thing that happens. But then I think too when I'm following people on, YouTube influencers or whatever else, and I see like someone who has got a relatively small following has a medical emergency, and they put up a GoFundMe of I need $5,000, I've been given 60,000. You
Yeah.
know, the community that you can build through even small things, if you are a positive factor and not a hateful, spiteful goblin, like people have generosity in their hearts, and they they will help you if you can. Like, again, it's kind of cynical to say like you need to provide the service to get the help, but I
It's
don't
more in
know.
the sense of like you need to be a person worth helping. And worth
Yeah,
doesn't mean that you provide something other than like joy, right? Like it's that kind of thing. It isn't transactional in that sense, right? If like a friend of mine was like gonna become homeless, I would imagine everyone would band together, you help the person. I wouldn't then be like, all right, let me put that on the ledger. Yeah, you need to like
yeah, yeah.
play like Diablo with us for like at least 10 more hours. And it has to be like good, high quality hours. Like, we gotta laugh at least once every 20 minutes.
And every third legendary you get needs to go to me as well.
Yeah, yeah, like it's not like you're tracking it in that sense, but the movie is just like, hey, if everyone likes you, and in a non cynical way, you are just a likable person, if some shit happens to you, people will help. And
Yeah,
like, yeah, they do. It's one of the big tragedies of like a lot of everyone kind of becoming like an island nowadays, right? Like you have a lot of these communities are ripped apart from the way like third spaces are gone and things like that. So you don't have people building those little communities, and it puts everybody in a more precarious position. But then you look at something like this, where it again, not to be like the tragedy of the modern times, but It's a Wonderful Life wouldn't work if there was a Walmart in the town.
yeah.
Like it's you need those like mom and pop shops. You need the local bank, the local business that helps you build your house and gives you the mortgages. Like because then everybody knows everyone around them, and then when something does happen to someone, everyone can pitch in and help.
I
And you
think that
need those
that's
like pillars.
this idea of like if you are a good person, people will help. Part of that is also if you trust people to be good. That is part of being a good person. There's the scene where um, George Bailey's been married his like teenage bae, and they're about to go on the honeymoon. A bunch of convoluted stuff happens, and they've only got some they don't have banks funds. They have their own funds to give to people who want to take out their loans essentially. he starts giving out the money, but they've got a set amount. So he starts saying, can you take less? Don't worry about signing anything. I know you. I trust you. Just like
Yeah.
take what you need for the week. We'll get this back to you. There is a huge level of trust in the fact that they have $2,000 to spare and that's it. And he is giving it all away on the understanding that like we're a community. We can build this together. If we don't, then Mr. Potter owns everything. And then you see the reality where Mr. Potter owns everything, and there's a bit of like think of the children panic, where it's like
Yeah.
there'll be casinos and dance clubs and movie theaters showing bad movies, and it's a bit it's corny.
Yeah.
It's right,
That
it's
bit's a little
cheesy,
corny. Yeah.
but it needs to be. I don't think this movie works without the
You
cheap,
need to show the town falling into, like, for lack of a better word, like sin.
especially when you start the movie with 40-year-old Jimmy Stewart playing 22-year-old Jimmy Stewart. Like it starts off very cheesy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the whole thing, right, where it shows the corrupting thing, like it's an interesting one to put, like, to show, because a little bit reminds me of like, have we mentioned this before? Like the funny scenario with the Harry Potter play.
Yes, that came
Yeah,
up somewhere. I forget
where
where exactly.
basically like character who was apparently below. I don't know. I don't read the books.
Roy Patterson.
Yeah, he's like killed, and then there's a play about like what if he wasn't killed, and then he becomes like evil, and, and it's like okay,
He,
well,
he becomes like mega Hitler because he had
yeah,
one
yeah,
unfortunate thing
one
happen to
bad
him.
day.
It's like, well, he
My
was
my
better off dead.
only my criticism of like It's a Wonderful Life, and it feels like maybe egotistical for me to start a sentence with my criticism of It's a Wonderful Life, as in like I stand on my little box and go like I think it would have been better if.
I mean, you'd be agreeing with most critics of the time, so do not
Yeah.
feel too bad about
Well,
it.
but my criticism is like, is no one else in this town a good person? like, like if we
I think that
take
that's
the one guy out, why does it become like evil? Like surely it's
that's
just
I think
yeah.
part of the issue of it being like it's saying there's a version of capitalism that is good, right? Where you need the good person who has the social levers that he can pull to have the loan company to help the town
Yeah,
properly.
good
Like,
guy with a bank account.
yeah, exactly.
Beats a bad guy with a bank
Can
account.
stop a bank going bank account.
Yeah. Such an American movie.
Yeah.
Uh,
Uh,
I mean, in a way, though, like that one is, I would argue, more true because they are living in a situation where you do need the money to pull the levers. Like, the gun thing is fucking stupid, right? Like,
yeah.
adding more guns into a situation. For anyone who didn't understand the reference, there's a common refrain that a good guy with a gun stops a bad guy with a gun. It's stupid, but people want you to buy more guns. The idea there is like, yeah, you need access to the like mechanisms of power, and George Bailey has it because he doesn't have a ton of money, but he has like a good cash flow. He has money coming in and money going out, and he's constantly using it for the betterment of the community. Whereas Potter is a dragon and sits on the money and only ever uses it to like crush the opposition. So I can see the argument, even outside of the idea that like there is good capitalism, that like a good person working within the system still has to work within the system.
Yeah.
But you know, there's a version of this movie that is much more radical, where they stop having personal finances in the town and only use like cash flow to import and export goods, right? Like, but you're not going
And
to
in
see.
1946, that version doesn't get released.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Right. They don't do the communist like small compound commune town version, which probably would work, but also maybe a little too like.
Also,
So,
like,
okay,
like I think Frank Capra was not a strict socialist. I think he was still like idealized by the idea of the potential of American capitalism. He's not a communist guy, right? He's making like big Hollywood movies to make money.
yeah, yeah. Well, you never know if he was accused of being a communist.
They're accusing everyone of being a fucking communist. You say we should let black people vote. Commie, pinko.
Yeah. I have found that Capra was apparently personally a conservative Republican.
I mean, I can see that.
Yeah, frequent collaborator. Collaborator being a good word, was Robert Riskin, who was a New Deal, like more progressive kind of guy.
Okay.
which would make sense if he's also doing a lot of the writing. So that kind of tracks out to me. You know, he would.
Yeah.
I don't think like a conservative makes It's a Wonderful Life. It doesn't really strike me as a particularly pro-America kind of like movie. Or pro-America the state. It's pro-America the people.
Yeah. Maybe this is my like lack of political knowledge, pre-contemporary times talking, but like I always find it very strange to look at people from the 20s to the 70s when you talk about differing political opinions working together, because it feels like we are worlds removed in terms of what level of acceptability that is. There's a lot, they're closer to a central viewpoint back then, so it feels more reasonable to have a conservative Republican working with a New Deal progressive. Nowadays, if you have someone who is pretty left wing working with someone who's pretty right wing, there's a huge conflict of morality and interest, and like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, there's a lot of like. I mean, there's more true partisanship now. I mean, back then there was still a lot though. Like, you got to think about how it worked. But I think if a movie came out now that was being made by like, I was gonna say I can't think of a like very progressive screenwriter or director, but I guess the answer is the majority of the good ones. Versus like harder to imagine that overlap happening with like a real strict conservative and like a very forward thinking progressive. That
Yeah,
doesn't end up, you lift the hood and oh, it's a centrist actually. Like it has that vibe to it.
I think also like this movie benefits from, and again, it's mid 40s, right? It benefits from being in the shadow of World War II, where you've just come off of a war dealing with objectively evil people. Really easy to like find the unifying point of American politics where you say, fuck those Nazis. We've got, opinions about how we should continue on post this tragedy. And I think the way the movie actually brings up World War II is like really well handled. It's kind of a turning point in the tone
Yeah.
where it starts to barrel towards its. I think like you see the peaks of George Bailey's giving qualities after the World War II has happened montage, and then he kind of begins to drift because he is going through his own personal crises because he's had these plans, but because of his father's death and the life he's building in the town, he doesn't get to live them. But like that middle section where they say like, "Hey, World War II happened," it just really strongly hits in terms of like, of course, like you need the kindness and the giving people that George Bailey is after that.
I feel like a lot of these better films, I'm actually noticing like a lot of them mention World War Two. They don't dwell on World War Two, but its presence is felt. So this had that, like you said, right? Like you need George Bailey's after World War Two and during World War Two. Like it talks about he being sort of on the home front, as
He's
it were.
doing robber drives and scrap drives and food rationing and everything that he can to like get the resources for the war
Yeah,
within the city. Yeah, and his little brother goes there as well.
yeah. As well. I mean, this is sort of the overall framing, but like his little brother going there is interesting. Where I mean, obviously the movie. This is the whole point, right? Where it keeps contriving a reason for George to be stuck in the town, right? He never gets a chance to leave. Every time he's about to leave, something happens that keeps him there. And the World War II one is really interesting because it's, I think, not poorly framed, but maybe someone should have died in World War II who was relevant to the story.
I mean, the only person who really goes to it is his brother, and you need to have him live to deliver the fact that if George
Yeah.
didn't exist, then his brother would have died beforehand anyway, and he wouldn't have saved, the hundreds of people.
Well, they do mention a few other people from the town, like one joined like the paratroopers and stuff, and they all just like got to do heroism. And it's
True,
a bit
yeah.
like, all right, World War II wasn't great for like the average person. It's a little weird that it's not like it's very willing to criticize a lot of like American institutions, but okay, I guess like making a critical of the war film does put you on a lot of lists, and maybe Capra himself, as quite a conservative, would likely have vetoed any anti-war sentiment. It's not Vietnam, right?
But also, like, contemporarily, I don't know if this would have been explicitly a Christmas movie, but it's already a Christmas movie about someone having suicidal thoughts. There's only so much you can veer into the like dark social critique without it becoming
Yeah.
a bit jarring. Like a lot of people already find it. Uh, I don't want to be too mean to people whose reviews I'm not reading, but there's a lot of opinions about this as a Christmas movie, which feels like, I don't know, letting your personal opinions on Christmas really taint the experience of watching a very well made movie that ultimately has a pretty kind, if somewhat flawed message.
It is funny to me, the Christmas movie connection, because for the majority of the movie, I'm like, it's not a Christmas movie. It's not,
Takes
it doesn't really,
75 minutes to have someone mention Christmas.
yeah. And even then, Christmas doesn't feel relevant. Like, it has the spirit of Christmas, and I think that's like the big thing, right? It's the giving, the being
Yeah.
good. Very, like, vibe wise, it's a Christmas movie, which I think is why I think this is like a very good Christmas movie. I kind of thought this might be a bit weird to watch going into
Outside
summer.
of Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Honestly, just works. Like, it's just a movie. I think you could throw this on at any point, and it's not a Christmas movie. It's just a movie. I think if you
Yeah.
watch it at Christmas, that can kind of recontextualize it a little bit, because you're already. People are probably thinking about Christmas and the vibe of Christmas a lot more at Christmas. I think the film hits really hard at Christmas, but I don't think it's like a worse film outside of Christmas,
I
which is
feel like
interesting.
the Christmassy perspective on the movie is adjusted in the same way that people think about Freddy Krueger is the school's groundskeeper, or people think that Cape Fear is primarily a film that takes place on a boat in, roaring waters. In that there's a Simpsons episode that plays with this idea, and it is 24 minutes of primarily Christmas.
Hmm.
Like Simpsons did it in season 2, I think it was. That image of Homer with the big rock. He's walking over to the bridge.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
who's that, Mabel? I think young Mr. Simpson's gonna go and kill himself. Like, that is permanently in Western cultural framing for when you look at this movie, because more people have seen the episode than the movie, I would have to guess.
Culturally, very different perspective to sort of like what the movie actually is. I mean, not perspective,
Yeah.
but just like expectations, right? Because I mean,
Yeah.
even I myself said like I thought this movie was much more strongly framed around the time with the angel.
Especially when it starts the movie and it is angels represented by galaxies who kind of flare up just talking to one another about, oh, look down there, it's George Bailey. You've got to pay a lot of attention to him. It feels like the angel should be throughout the entire movie. And I
Yeah,
thought when Billy Bailey had the little crow, I was like, there's our
that's the
angel,
angel.
watching
Yeah,
over him the entire time. Nope, I'm just wrong.
I just got a crow.
He's got a bunch of animals. He's got a
Yeah, he's got a
monkey in this
squirrel as
episode at one
well.
point. A
Yeah,
squirrel, that was it. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. The squirrel, like when he's looking for the money and he puts his head down, he's like, "Oh no, I've lost the money." A squirrel just like appears and is like, "Don't worry." And it doesn't say
I
anything,
love
but
how
yeah,
doesn't get brought up at all. The bird just like climbs on him as he's walking around. It just feels like a guy who happens to be Snow White. It's
yeah,
really
yeah.
weird.
It happens when George comes back in after the doors are closed. So he jumps over the desk and then I think the raven like hops off with him.
Yeah,
Like he
yeah.
just grabs the raven, like and
It's
you're like, oh, they just have that. Like
why not? Fuck it, dude. You got a trained
I
bird.
love stuff like that. I feel like you don't see a lot of that in like movies now. Like I think little fun additions that like they're not even like characterization; they're just a thing. And I feel like a lot of critics would be like, "Why was the bird there?" And it's like,
Because we're talking about it. Like, I think that
yeah,
has to be answered, right? Just because we're talking about the bird, why not?
yeah, yeah, exactly right.
Outside of potential, was the bird well treated? I guess would be the risk there. Hopefully, you'd think so. It doesn't seem like it was putting in any stressful situations. Fingers crossed.
But yeah, like, it's just a nice little touch, right? It also gives you a vibe for the people. Like it's very, you wouldn't see a crow in Potter's office.
Yes, yeah, yeah. He's way too malicious and yeah, caged bird. You
Caged
could see
bird.
that definitely.
Yeah, that would have been a fun little counterpoint for the two of them, right? He just has a bunch of caged animals. They got birds and shit running around.
Yeah. I'm surprised we never saw Potter's house because that would have been a real chance. Uh, Actually, it's weird, right? Because they framed George Bailey as a kind of he's not just scraping by, he is a bank loan manager. Like he's got money,
Yeah, he's
but
doing all
there's an
right.
implication of pseudo poverty. And pseudo poverty in this setting means one man can work to provide for a wife and four kids in a house that has six bedrooms. It's like, okay, you're not really struggling, dude.
Yeah, struggling in the 40s and 50s meant a very different thing, I think.
It's more an emotional struggle for George Bailey in that he had
Yeah,
all these plans to travel the world and see things and build great things. And, he wanted to build like air spaces and skyscrapers and things to really change the entire world. And instead, he has built his local community, which, when the angel comes down, essentially tells him, like, that's the point, you
yeah,
know?
you made the right choice, right? Don't
Yeah,
think big picture. The problem is everyone's thinking big picture. I mean, that's the whole thing with Potter, right? He's only thinking big picture, and as a result, he's the villain. They show George
yeah.
Bailey is always kind of wishing he could think big picture, but understands that you have to handle the little things. And then, wow, look, in handling the little things, everyone's got your back and everyone loves you.
Here's an interesting tidbit of trivia. In 2021, they released an abridged version of the film with
Abridged.
24 and a half minutes removed. Do you want to guess which 24 and a half minutes?
Is it all the angel stuff? Is it his childhood?
No, it is all of the alternate reality that they visit to bring it more in line with the original book, which I cannot
Oh,
imagine
that's
watching this
weird.
movie with that stuff gone. It's so bizarre because like the book seems less explicitly religious. The angel isn't called an angel; he's just a unnamed traveler. I
Yeah.
don't think George prays to God for the help. It's just like a individualized kind of self actualization.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I could see that working really well though. But I don't like. Does what does the traveler in that do? Does he just say like, "Oh no,
Ah,
don't kill
nice
yourself,
traveler.
dude. You're pretty chill."
I think
Because
it's what is it? It says that George is looking for like a reason to live, and the stranger explains that he's been given a great gift already, the gift of life, essentially. Like he doesn't bring him to an alternate reality, he doesn't show him anything, he just speaks to him and
yeah, yeah.
gets that across.
Maybe I'm like underselling this, but like, I didn't think his shit was that fucked. Like, I think George was just ready to kill himself. I think he just like, like, you had a major discrepancy in the books on your like firm, but like everything else was going pretty chill for him. I guess that
Well,
would
no,
have been
because
catastrophic.
he spoke to Potter, was going to get in touch with the police and accuse him of fiddling with the books, and the implication is manipulate things to get him put into prison, right? And
Yeah, I
then like
suppose.
his kids have no house, his wife has no house, his entire business goes down, the community. What would happen if he wasn't there would happen anyway, right? There would be no one there
Yeah,
to take his place.
yeah. I guess he is like put in absolute like hell status.
Yeah, because the threat is that either George or Uncle Billy will go to prison with the money missing because there'll be accusations of fraud going on, and Mr. Potter specifically hates George, who is the more important person in the business's structure. So he was definitely fucked.
Yeah, he
you
was pretty
know?
fucked. Also, so this is an interesting one, right? With that whole thing with Potter, and I kind of like that this didn't happen. They never get the money back.
Yeah, no comeuppance. Like
Yeah,
Potter is an evil person who still gets to do whatever he's doing, continuing on. He just doesn't get the satisfaction of beating out George and family because George has the backing of the community.
like it's an interesting way to make the movie end with a victory for the underdog that keeps the underdog the underdog.
Yeah, and it doesn't feel vindictive or like spiteful, where you need to, punish the villain. The
Yeah,
punishment is that he's living a miserable life where the only person at his side is the guy who pushes his wheelchair. Like, no one else likes this fucking dude. Everyone hates him.
yeah. It's an interesting one because it's like I said, there's no vindictiveness. There's no like we need to get the bad guy because I could see like a lot of versions of this movie where it ends with Potter having a lot of egg on his face, right?
Yeah,
And if it was in the 2000s, probably literally.
yeah.
But
I
like
had to
instead, yeah,
filter through a few reviews saying, like, George should have just killed him. There's a lot of people who seem to think that George Bailey has the capacity to be a murderer and should have just fucking killed Mr.
just
Potter.
killed Potter.
Just
Just pulls a gun on him like halfway through the movie.
yeah, right, like I can get not liking the movie for a variety of reasons. saying that Jimmy Stewart should have blapped this man just on the street is such a fucking weird
I
thing.
think a lot of people can't understand like hating a character without having to have like a resolution for that hatred that ends the
Yeah,
character. Because like I think you have it in a lot of like, especially like prestige media nowadays. Like villains have to get killed because audiences otherwise will get upset. If I think
I'm
like I
trying to
haven't
think.
seen Game of Thrones, I've seen a fair bit of Breaking Bad, that kind of thing, where like people almost expect there to be this like arc towards very direct justice in a piece of media, where
Yeah,
if there is a villain and you portray them as like truly villainous, and Potter is shown as like pretty reprehensibly evil, like they don't kill him, they don't have any like real consequences for his actions. Like he has never served any kind of justice, and like that is a salient point of the movie. Like it's pretty deliberate, right? Like you have to choose not to
yeah,
do that because I think naturally you would do it. A lot of people would be expecting him to have something happen to him. There's a worse movie where they find out at the end that he's been cooking his books the entire time, and then he goes to jail. And it's like,
yeah.
no, you don't need that, and you shouldn't really have that because it defeats a lot of the point of the movie. Is like, no, these systems still exist. You just need to work within them and like make your community like thrive. Like the bad guy isn't just going to go away.
Especially because he's a guy who is using, like you said, the systems in place, right? Like there's nothing special about Potter. He is
Yeah,
just a guy who is living the alternate version of the dream that Bailey is searching.
it's the thing is like at the end you have a little title card that says like fun fact: Mr. Potter was legally in the clear the entire time.
Yeah. He did steal that $8,000. Maybe he should get found.
Well,
Maybe the
yeah,
cops
that
should
part.
kick down his door and shoot him in the.
Yeah, like that is the weirder part that the $8,000 like theft isn't resolved. But like I kind of just like that they show like that just happens.
It's the thing that like Potter could just throw on the street somewhere, right? It will never get
Yeah,
found. It's not going to be logged in his books. Like, who actually cares? It needs to be lost because the movie has to make its point. Like, it's
yeah.
not an important amount of money.
You need that $8,000 to come back from the community as well. Like that's a requirement of the film. It does almost show it as a little transactional. Like be a good person so that when you need $8,000, people you know pay towards your GoFundMe.
Mm.
And I think there is a message there that people might think like, oh, I should be a good person just in case, which is funny because I think some people would rail against that. But like, if like a person was only being a George Bailey because it meant if shit hit the fan, they would have some people pay them.
There's still a George Bailey.
This, yeah, they still did a George Bailey, right? It's still good.
Yeah.
So like, fuck it, if that's what you need, then go for it.
Speaking of someone taking a large amount of money and putting it to poor use, we haven't talked much about the visuals. I think the movie looks great. It's this old classic black and white stuff. There's no huge creative choices there. I think it's like very, to do, but just very well done. The snowstorm when he goes to top himself,
Mm.
fucking hell, that looks so good. It's a
Yeah, that's really
magnificent
nice.
looking series of shots. Um, but in the 1980s, there were some colorization efforts where I think it's just Colorization Inc. is the company name, showed Capra, who was still alive, miraculously,
Oh, yeah.
10 minutes of the film put into color, and he was like, yo, this looks great. Put in half of the money that would have been needed to finish it, plus profit share with the people who had been involved.
Yeah.
The owners of Colorization Inc. went, oh, hold on, isn't this film in the public domain? What if we give you back your money and exclude you from the creative process of the colorization? So
Yo, Potter made the recolor.
yeah, right. I think there's a few different recolors. I looked at one. It does look lovely, to be fair. It's got nice.
Yeah.
It looks like everyone is wearing very bright colors, and then they've really desaturated it, where it's not Technicolor, but it's got that like nostalgic kind of sheen to it. It looks fucking lovely to
I
look
like
at.
it though. Look.
But Colorization Inc. Bad blokes, from what I saw. They really just tried to like kill Frank Capra's creative efforts in revitalizing the film. Um, And then, like, after that, Capra and everyone you can find of any amount of prestige in Hollywood is like, fuck colorization, fuck these guys,
Yeah,
hate it
you pull
as a
an
practice.
anti-George Bailey, and then everyone hates you.
Weird that, right?
Yeah,
Strange how it all comes
I
together.
think
Yeah,
that's the weird one, right? People take away from this message: be good, and people will help you. What they don't take away is that be bad, and people will leave you to fucking rot as you
yeah,
deserve. It's yeah, I don't know, like more being good is nice, and I think a lot of people really like fail to grasp that. Very similar to the end of A Great Dictator, right? Like the
yeah.
movie just needs to tell you to be a better person a lot of the time, and some people they hear that and they're just like, ah, not me though, and it's like, no, yeah, you too, dude. Like you also need to be a better person.
I saw as well some of the reviews, some of the less positive ones for A Wonderful Life, especially contemporary ones.
Uh,
Um, there's a line in it. I think it's in Tom Sawyer book at the end that Clarence gives to George, where it
yeah.
says like a man with a friend is never lost, or a man with friends is never lost.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of people are like, what about someone who struggles with socialization? It's like, oh, he's fucking. Okay, I'm sorry. If you've got social anxiety, you're allowed to be a bad person. Like, fuck off. you know?
Yeah, actually, you do need to make friends. Like that's like there's a few things, and I say this again as someone who is almost certainly autistic, but like you need to make friends. You need to like have hygiene of some amount, and
Yeah.
like you got to be like socially interactive with the people. And like some
Doesn't
people
have to be a
go,
huge amount. It
yeah,
can be once a week. you know?
but like the one way you need to make friends, it's like you just need to be a good person. It's like, oh, it makes me uncomfortable. It's like fucking get over it then. Like it is tragic if that's a problem you're facing. Unfortunately, you do just have to get over that, right? Like I give a lot of shit to things like picky eating and stuff, where someone's
Hmm.
like, I won't eat food that isn't chicken tendies. I'm like, a little embarrassing, but fuck it, it's
A
not
lot
gonna.
embarrassing.
Yeah, well, a lot embarrassing. I'm trying to be nice with this framing, but
Nah, fuck
like,
it.
I'm just like, fuck it. If that's really like the end of the line for you, like you should get over it. But I don't care if you don't. If like you really struggle to talk to people, you got to just go out of your way to find people that you don't struggle to talk with. And if you can't, like, you're gonna have to learn. It's
I'll
very
speak from
important.
experience. Like, the abhorrent anxiety of socializing is fucking awful, but you are better for it afterwards.
Yeah,
I will
exactly.
tell you that from every point in my life, right? Someone with a lot of anxiety about most things, you just need to like grit your teeth and like struggle through it because you'll find the break point where it becomes worth it.
It's that thing, right? You don't need to actually be George Bailey. You don't need to like self-sacrifice to the point of like being on your last limit. But you do just need to be nice and like give everyone the benefit of the doubt and things like that, right? It's that classic one. I mean, you run this now and then, right? It's the whole if a homeless person asks you for money and then you don't give them it because you think like they might spend it wrong, like they might go buy like alcohol or drugs with it. It's like it says a lot about you if you don't do it more than it says about them, like the version of them you've made in your head. Like you should just
Yeah.
give them the change you've got because you don't need it. If they do something wrong with it or like oh no they scammed you out of it, who cares? There's a lot of stuff like that. And this is one of those movies where you point at it and go like just be like this guy a little bit. Like just where you can, just be like this guy. Inconvenience yourself for others, and it's good. And you get a lot of people who are like, "Oh, if I go and help that person, like shit's gonna kind of suck a little bit for me." And it's like, just let things suck a little bit for you to help others now and then. Like you don't have to do it
Worst
all the
case
time, but just
scenario,
do it.
like you got a story to tell, right?
Yeah, it's it's that whole one like pick a friend up from the airport like oh their plane's late they arrive at 4 a.m. and like it really sucks to go drive out at 4 a.m. but like it's also really nice to know that you're the kind of person who'll go pick a friend up at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Like
And hey,
that's just a good vibe.
like put on some Kavinsky, some Perturbator,
Yeah,
drive a bit over the speed limit. It feels
I
pretty
mean
good.
you
you
did
know?
it. We turned up at like fucking random o'clock
I
in a
can't
random
fucking
town.
believe you did that shit to me, dude.
But just think, you're the
With
kind of friend
bikes.
who.
I've never had bikes on my fucking car before. I don't have space for it. You know?
Yeah, so me and another friend of mine and Jack's just we'd been traveling and then we came back and we were a bit lost and we didn't know what to do, so we just called Jack and he came and picked us up. It was great.
Yeah.
Like that's the sign of a true friend. Like that's a good person. Do that shit now and
Also,
then. It's
notably,
funny.
this other guy was from America. Like, he had no plans. If he did get lost, he just relied on, like, maybe Jack will pick up the phone. I could have been
Yeah,
working. I could have been out of town. You know?
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Luckily, we didn't need to look at any contingencies because the first part of call answered.
hey, there you go.
Yeah, but that's the vibe, right? It's like just do stuff for your friends, be helpful, be good.
Yeah.
Crazy how Watch a Wonderful Life makes me go into like you need to be a better person mode.
But that is the point of the movie, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
it hits. I mean, they clearly did a good job.
yeah.
Yeah, big recommend on that one then.
Yeah, I'm surprised you liked it so much. I thought you would have found some of the schmaltziness less endearing, so I'm glad that you liked it.
I like a bit of schmaltziness. I just expected this to be
Way schmaltzy.
very badly done for it. I thought it
Yeah.
was going to be like way too feel good, way too just like haha everything is nice, and it was just a very grounded movie where the problems were real and the solutions were real. Like
I said this to a friend about Vertigo as well, but the fact that Jimmy Stewart can be a character who says "gee whiz" and then I still feel human empathy for him,
yeah,
crazy impressive to pull that off from everyone involved in the production.
yeah, yeah, really good. I mean, like I said, my issue with it was that it's probably going to feel a bit unrealistic. I thought it was going to just kind of turn all of a sudden and be this really soppy mess. And I just think it managed to be a movie that like took its time to earn that ending, and the ending never felt forced.
What actually we didn't bring this up. I meant to say when the angel shows him the vision of himself if he never lived. It's like you said, 24 minutes that got cut out of the alternate cut. About 16 minutes of that is him not believing that it's happened, and I
Yeah,
fucking love that because it would
yeah,
be
yeah,
it's a completely realistic film otherwise in terms of like is this happening in a grounded non-magical place. It would take you so much time to like actualize and realize like, oh, I don't fucking exist. You know, it's the
yeah,
fundamental thing that we can all vaguely point towards the idea that there is some comprehension of like we are things that exist. It might not be in the reality that we think it is, you know, Matrix kind of shit, but I can look at you and I can say that you are an existing thing in my perception at the very least, and so am I. When you're put in a world where like no you're not, it would take you probably longer to
yeah,
actualize that, right? But I love that so much of that time is him just going like, oh, I'll go here then. I'll go here then. I'll speak to this person. I'll speak to this person. I'll ask them about this. And it's just fail, 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 fail.
yeah. That part is really well done because it doesn't at any point him just go like, "Oh yeah, you're an angel, you're real, haha." Like he is never really convinced, even at the end when he comes out of it.
He's disbelieving it until he goes to the bridge to either pray or kill himself again. And then it's such a. We've got a shot of Jimmy Stewart on the bridge, cut to the police car driving up, and then shot back to Jimmy Stewart, who now has the like bleeding lip from the injury he got back in reality.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
an immediate indicator of you're back in the world that exists without explicitly having to tell you first. Just mwah, wonderfully done.
yeah. Just shockingly well done.
Yeah.
Also, just some funny little lines. I love like I don't know how I stuck with me, but just like some of the little quips in these older movies are so good. Like as he's walking in with Clarence and they're walking out the bar, and he just grabs him and says, like, "Come on, Gabriel," and like
Yeah,
Clarence goes like,
yeah.
Clarence, and he's like, "Yeah, yeah,"
Or
and they keep moving. Like I love the little things like that. Like there's so many like people on the screen have such easy charisma with each other. Like all these quips always just feel very real.
yeah. When they give away their money for the honeymoon, and the wife, whose name I've forgotten, which is probably indicative of something about the movie, um sets up the shoddy old house to have their honeymoon on, and they
Mm.
take George there, and the two like bystanders is like, "This is their honeymoon," and he says, "What are they, ducks?" Because it's all raining and
Yeah,
dripping
yeah,
with
yeah,
water. And it's like, uh,
yeah. Good stuff.
yeah. Do you want to guess some reviews?
It's time for Who Said That.
It is time for Who Said That, where I've gathered up 5 reviews, each one from one of our movies, and we're going to see if Nathan can guess which is coming from which. In the spirit of It's a Wonderful Life, I think if we're going to stop naming and shaming people, I would just read the reviews. I don't need to list people's actual names. I'll be a better person.
Be a
Make
better
fun of them
person. It
in the
is funny though,
obscurity.
sometimes.
It is funny, but some of these ones, especially today, I think we're going to have a fucking bad time with.
Oh,
So,
really? Okay. Let's see the reviews.
yeah. So this person says, convoluted beyond reason, but don't strain yourself following it. The final sequence spells everything out anyway, rendering the previous runtime completely redundant. You could skip to the last 10 minutes and lose nothing. Better yet, skip the whole thing.
So that is my opinion of Scared to Death,
Mm-hmm.
which makes me think It's a Wonderful Life.
That would be the easy gambit. Yes.
Am I right?
You're not, no. It's scared
No,
to
okay.
death.
Scared to Death, yep. So, obviously, I think that like hit the nail on what we were talking about, right? Like, it's a murder mystery where all of the cards are placed on the table right at the end, and they're all turned over at the same time. So, it's just completely pointless runtime, and then bang, here's the solution, and also the only guess that you couldn't have made. I agree with them wholeheartedly. I think that's actually just a very accurate review of the narrative of that movie.
I was thinking I might get you on the cynical side of. I guess I did get you, didn't I?
Yeah, you did get me.
Because
Yeah.
It's a Wonderful Life, you could definitely put that criticism on it if you hadn't watched the movie.
Yeah, I think you could easily say like the whole point of the movie was the last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Because but it isn't like irrelevant for like everything else that happens leads up to that point. Like it's the opposite of Scared to Death.
Yeah,
but I could have seen a bad review say that about it.
Here's someone whose name I'm going to say, actually. From Say the Title, says, they don't say the title.
They say the title in both.
Do they?
Yeah, when at the grave in A Wonderful Life, Clarence, the angel, says, "Don't you see, George, you really had a wonderful life."
The title is It's a Wonderful Life.
It's a Wonderful Life. Ooh. Obviously, Scared to Death, the last actual line is that she was scared to death. So
yes.
you wouldn't miss
Okay.
it on that one.
I was wondering if you had completely blanked at that part of the movie, because I nearly did. Like,
Yeah, no,
jolted
they
me
say
back
she
awake.
really was just scared to death. So I'm going to say It's a Wonderful Life.
Correct, yes. They do not say It's a Wonderful Life in the movie.
I guess, yeah, they only say you had a wonderful life, which doesn't count.
Yeah.
Because the credits don't immediately roll. Whereas in Scared to Death,
Yeah.
they say Scared to
The
Death.
credits
and the
do
credits
immediately roll. Here's another one. Says, I woke up early this morning, nervous about getting paid on time, aka the first of the month. Tried to watch this and just now finished it. It's not good, but a lot of movies are not good. This seems to have a feverish, insidious vein of not fun running under its surface, spreading malaise and decay everywhere it touches.
So once again, someone trying to sound smarter than they are.
Also,
you can tell.
I just want to say,
because...
starting your review with I woke up nervous about getting paid. Why?
Yeah. Someone who writes like this should be nervous about getting paid. So they... using a lot of $2 words and their bank account's empty, dude. So... none of these movies are spreading a lot of malaise. I would say, like, woke up early, worried about getting paid. That seems relevant, but could be a red herring. In the spirit of things, I'm going to say Scared to Death.
Money, so you've got it. It was Scared to Death this time.
Yeah, I don't know what the undercurrent of malaise is. I guess the movie was just slow, but...
yeah,
that's just someone who wants to sound
not
clever.
fun.
Yeah, because there was an attempted vein of fun throughout the movie, right? The cop was constantly trying to be like silly. Just it didn't.
I didn't read the other 3 paragraphs of this review, so maybe
3 paragraphs.
there's a better point.
Give me like some other like $10 words they used.
I've copy pasted it an hour and a half ago. I don't.
All right, yeah. Just
Here's
another
the next
review
one,
that I don't think I'd like.
Yeah. If I'd watched this when I was a child, I probably would have ended up traumatized.
It's a Wonderful Life. The gaslight scene, like the "you aren't real anymore, George." I think that actually like was really stressful because it was a really accurate portrayal of like a man being like unexpectedly
the entire
like,
town
gaslit by an
working
entire
against him.
town.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah,
like,
correct.
That seems pretty spooky. Yeah. All right, nice. I'm good at
It
this.
was a half-star review, so I am
Wow, okay.
suspect
So
about
an
that.
idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, okay, that last like scene, the actual scene where he's not real anymore, is like it's so well done because I think you could take that by itself and it would be a good episode of the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Yeah, Twilight Zone. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it really has that feeling of it. Like if you didn't know you were put in that situation and you just didn't exist anymore, but you had all these memories of all these people, like it has like all you need is fucking Rod Serling at the start to be like, a man wishes he was never born. And you would be like, hell yeah, dude, like
All right,
so
last
yeah.
review here. Get ready for a long one because
Oh right,
it's a
okay.
bit deranged. Okay, so here's the deal. When I was about 10, my family and I watched this movie. Now, history probably says otherwise, but my memory reports that after this movie, I experienced existential dread like nothing I've ever had before and had crippling insomnia for like 6 months. I literally slept in my parents' bedroom for 6 months after consuming this media. Now, my mother's counter argument is that just before this event, I had the stomach flu and got really scared of throwing up alone, and she thinks that's what's caused the fear of the nighttime. Unsure. All I know is I'm taking no chances and I'm never watching this again. Heart emoji, heart emoji.
Scared to death.
I fucking got you.
Really? Wonderful Life? That
Yep,
makes sense.
it's a
You
wonderful
probably wouldn't
line.
watch Scared to Death with your family at 10.
The first line, which I also had to cut out because it gave away too much, is I'm going to receive hate for this. I have many followers.
Ah, yeah. I could see the existential dread, right? It's a movie with like death as a central theme towards the end. And if you're like already feverish and 10, like 10 is a good age for people to start like the real deep thanatophobia, like death neurosis stuff.
A huge amount of reviews when you look in the low rating is like, this movie traumatized me as a child. I hate it. I don't want to think about it ever again. Like, people are affected by this movie in a very negative way, which I look at and I'm like, really?
It's pretty upbeat, I would have said. But
Yeah.
I like okay, not to go like psychoanalyst on him. I reckon if you didn't have the best family life, Christmas is a pretty hard time, and a movie that has such like high stress points
Mm,
could like rattle you a little bit if you're
yeah.
already in that like tense like oh most of the year my family are very detached and we're a very shouty household and like it's not always great and it it's that level of like it isn't what people would like mentally think of when they think the word like abuse, but like it's like not a great growing up environment. And then you get to Christmas and everybody's in the same room and you're seeing a movie that keeps showing you like all the struggles a like low income
Yeah.
family goes through, and you have like the scenes with George fighting after the money goes
The fact
missing, and
that the first scene that Jimmy Stewart has with the kids is shouting at them and like berating them for
yeah,
asking for like spelling correction and practicing piano, like I get that. I'm just shocked at how universally like
I
people
think
seem to revile it for that stuff.
I think a lot of people had pretty rough childhoods.
Yeah,
So
I guess this
that's
is the letterbox demographic, right? It's
probably also like
going for a certain kind of person.
not massively introspective, so they don't really realize that like it wasn't the movie that made you feel that way. It was like the
Yeah.
context of the movie that made you feel that way.
And having a
So,
flu. Yeah.
yeah, not to say that everybody who like didn't like It's a Wonderful Life had a broken home. Uh, so I didn't have a great childhood, but I really enjoyed the movie.
Can you imagine if that was our critique at the end? If you don't like this
Yeah,
movie, your dad must have hated you. Like,
yeah, yeah. You, too many arguments in your house.
oh,
Oh
all right,
Jesus!
well,
All right.
that was who
Yeah.
said that. Let's get up the
Time for the
tier
wheel.
list. Well,
Oh,
the
the
tier
tier
list
list.
first.
Sorry, yes, tier list.
For those who are just listening with audio, we have Bangers Gold Star, It's Good As Fine, Too Interesting to Call Bad, Consolation Prize, and Trash. Scared to Death. Ugh.
I think it's again. No one was harmed in the making of this movie, but it did
But
also just
I
use a
was,
dwarf for like shock factor. So it's
and
trash
it
to me.
gave me a headache. Like, I was actually
Yeah,
had physical
I think
damage dealt
I
to
think it's
me.
worse than the Titanic movie.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah,
Not hateful enough to go with sex madness and post that. Does Lost Continent do any animal crimes?
yeah. They throw an iguana at an alligator.
No, that was King Dinosaur.
They almost certainly did, but I can't remember what it was. Maybe it's bad. Maybe like we just left it in trash. It does deserve
I'm
to
just
be in
gonna
trash, but a little bit
I'm
better.
gonna
Yeah.
bump it up above Sex Madness because it doesn't. I don't think it does anything explicitly cruel to a living being apart from
I'll
having to
allow it.
watch it. It's a Wonderful Life. I feel like I'm thinking just below Godfather Gold Star.
Yeah, no, that's about right for me. I think. Uh, what's the one that's next to Godfather?
It happened one night.
Have one night.
A real Frank Capra sandwich,
I
right there.
think it's slightly worse than it happened one night.
Yeah, agreed.
So yeah, yeah, that works for me
I
then.
think the ending peak is better than anything in It Happened One Night, but the overall consistency of It Happened One Night is just it's such a sharp, funny,
I think
witty
like
movie
you
that has like
can,
two leads rather than one lead.
yeah,
you
you
know?
can easily just throw on It Happened One Night, and it's a good time. Like
Yeah, a
that's
bit
just
more
a
investment, and it's wonderful.
yeah, yeah. You need to actually sit there and fully watch It's a Wonderful Life, and like I think because both movies have that vibe of like they're on in the living room, and you should be able to kind of catch bits of them
Yeah,
while it's Christmas or while it's a nice event. And I think it's just like It Happened One Night is just an easier watch. Like I can just sit down, watch that, and it's a really nice movie. It's a Wonderful Life, bit longer. Got to sit there and actually like really watch it. I think it's a great movie, but yeah, I'd rather watch It Happen One Night.
yeah. Okay. Again, Frank Capra really representing the gold star category right there.
Nice, yeah, good director that guy.
Yeah, yeah, weird that, right? Strange. Let's find out what we're watching for next week. The wheel
Let's
spins and
see,
we end up on
1801.
oh, Danger Years again.
We really can't escape the mid like
1936. Yeah, no,
yeah.
lots of black and white. Let's see, 1936. So most popular is going to be it's Charlie Chaplin,
Oh hell
one
yeah.
times, which may end up being
Whether
the
yeah,
highest
we might
rated.
not be watching that.
Lowest rated is that a
Ooh,
Frankenstein? Revolt of the Zombies. Okay.
hell yeah.
Highest rated is Chaplin.
Oh, another Chaplin.
Let's see, just 62
Revolt of the
minutes,
Zombies.
87 minutes. Okay, long enough.
They're real movies.
Revolt of the Zombies is the weirdest love story in 2,000 years. Set in Cambodia in the years following World War One. Evil count. Turns people into zombies. Okay, it's one of these ones. Fair
Yep.
enough.
I
And
imagine
one
45 minutes of
times.
nothing happening and then a climax.
Yep. No one on earth can make you laugh as heartily or touch your heart as deeply. The whole world laughs, cries, and thrills to his priceless genius. A bumbling tramp decides to build a home with a young woman. Okay, some Chaplin slapstick.
Yeah. You know, like, there's the little screen grab here to describe for everyone
Mm.
else is Chaplin, like, on a massive, like, gear wheel, like, repairing something. If that was Buster Keaton, I'd already have, like, my anxiety spiking.
Yeah, because those would be real, fully metal gears that
Yeah,
are
they would
currently
just be
running
ringing.
onto a larger machine. Yeah, I don't think Chaplin makes an effort to actively try and like crunch himself into machinery.
Chaplin put survival
'Cause-
before theatre, and I don't
yeah,
think
yeah,
that Keaton ever did.
no.
It
All
should be a
right,
fun
well,
one,
there
though.
we
I
are.
like Chaplin.
Yeah, shorter movies. It's not that It's a Wonderful Life was a hard watch, but it was kind of a breath of fresh air after our 2 3 hour epics in a
Yeah,
row, and
three
this
hour,
is
three
even
hour,
shorter
two
than
hour.
that. So
Yeah.
should be nice. Should be easy to fit in.
There you go. Your homework isn't an entire day's worth of cinema.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can crack this out in literally under 3 hours. And if you'd speed up the playback time and Revolt of the Zombies, maybe in 40 minutes.
Hey, I've even been watching the bad movies in full time recently.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I don't even
Bold move.
try to catch everything that's happening in them, and then at the end of it we talk about them, and I'm like, wow, I really fucking wasted my time there. Huh? Like I am definitely like a guy who like the way I consume a lot of media is I like to have like audio media on while I'm doing like menial tasks or like video games I don't need to think about or like that kind of
Yeah.
vibe or like go for a walk. So like movies are an interesting one for me because they're not a natural fit for my
Mm.
like style. I'm not like a hugely like visual kind of guy. interesting to sit here and watch them. So it's been a fun little experiment for me, is just actually sitting down and watching movies.
Build your library a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, it's an art form I've never been super like. I don't want to say I'm not into, because like it would be weird to say you're not into an entire form of media, but they're definitely like not one that I would naturally gravitate towards. So it's nice. I'm enjoying
Yeah.
knowing more movies.
You can start to like. I think most people don't watch 24 movies in a year's period. So you're a cinephile at this point, dude. You
Yeah,
rock it.
technically, I've even seen the good ones.
Yeah.
I even got strong negative opinions about one like classic. So you know,
Order is not a classic. It's a highly rated art house. That's not a classic.
Hordette needs to be stopped.
Well, it was, thankfully, after
Yeah.
3 hours, but it was stopped at some point.
God, what a absolute. You know, it's crazy because Audette does end in a similar way. Like, It's a Wonderful Life does end in saying that the Christian God is real, but like not in the
Yeah.
way that Audette does it.
Well, because
Yeah, I'm
Order is just
still.
like a thing that wouldn't happen does happen, and It's Wonderful Life is like be a good guy. You know, those are two disparate
Yeah.
morals.
Like, Jesus said be nice, and also Jesus is this random Danish kid who can resurrect people. Not the same vibe. It's still absolutely mind blowing to me that the end of Audette has him actually resurrect her. Like, it's
Yeah.
fucking stupid. What a dog shit movie.
Oh, the Odette heads are gonna come for us, dude.
Yeah, luckily they can't read. No other way you'd like that movie. I'd
Oh,
rather
sorry,
watch Super
Robert Agent,
Babies.
you dead fuck.
Yeah. Just
Uh,
actual movie for morons, dude.
God, I'm the one here keeping it in too interesting to call bad, just because I don't want to put it next to Super Babies
I think it
or
does that
Sex
super next to
Madness.
Super Babies. Every time I think about that movie, my opinion of it gets worse. I get to dwell on just how
Gonna
fucking
come back
tragic it
in
was.
3 years' time. Is still gonna be ranting about Odette.
Put it with the Nazi trash. Put it at the bottom. I'd rather watch
Oh.
Triumph of the Will.
No, no, no. Gotta keep that space reserved.
Yeah, they've got a parking spot already.
Yeah. All right. 1936. Revolt of the Zombies. Modern Times.
Yeah,
Watch
go
your
watch and
movies.
enjoy.
Yeah. See you then.
See you then. Bye bye.